Welcome to another episode of A Gift from Adversity. My name is Juri. I'm your host. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And I have a wonderful guest today. So, I met him at Berklee College of Music, where I went to school to study music. And then we being friends. And then for the past maybe few years that we got reconnected. And then he has been a really great influence and positive supporter and really, really giving me empowerment and a great um, encouragement for everything I do. So I'm so glad that I have Carlos Colon tonight. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Carlos.
Hey, good evening to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I remember when you first thought about doing this series, and I thought it was a great idea because it's obviously, I mean, a lot of people still haven't figured out like that your book is an amazing book, and I think that once people see the depth that you go into with some of your experiences as a kid and going through, as a young person and a single mom and all this stuff, I think that the your book, I thought it was a great idea to make this series based on your book.
Thank you, Carlos. So this is my book called A Gift from Adversity, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and ebook as well. So I wrote this book about my overcoming sexual abuse, domestic violence, bullying, and homelessness that I experienced in my life. And it was very tough to write this, but I was doing a lot of guest speaking opportunities, and then a lot of people asked if I had a book, and then I didn't. So now I do have a book. So after I published my book, a lot of people asked me and share their adversity, and I felt compelled to create this safe platform where people can talk about their adversity, but not only that, how they how did they overcome their adversity, and how um what are the tools, and also what's the gift that came from it. So Carlos, before we dive into our main topic, can you please introduce our audience about the name and who you are, what you do?
Well, my name is Carlos Colon, Carlos with a K, and my brother and I, our production team, we do music, we do video, we do film, we do all kinds of different things. But reality, our first love is music production. And me and Juri, we met in Berklee College of Music. Oh my God, a long time ago, and we won't say how many years, but many years ago. And we have always kept in touch, and in the last couple of years, have created a very strong friendship, and we lean on each other for many things, and I'm so thankful for her friendship and the many things that she shares with not only with myself but with all the people that she surrounds herself. And so my brother and I, we live in Orlando, and we're currently going between Orlando and Dominican Republic, where we're working a musical project with one of our artists, El Big Man Lanzo Cinco. And we're very excited for some of the music that's going to be coming out very soon, and have been on a quest to make sure that everybody understands and gets exposed to our music and our productions with Big Man Lanzo Cinco.
Wonderful. So I have some live comments coming in. Dora Yavanka, amazing you both. And Jess Henlon, great stuff.
Oh, great.
Out to Dora Yavanka, Abril, and Jess Henlon.
Yes. Those are all friends. I posted a quick reminder on Facebook, and it's gotten over 150 likes. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people coming in to hang with us.
Yeah, so people are welcome to comment live, and then we will try to incorporate some of the questions that they have for us as well. So now let's dive into our main topic, which is adversity.
Yes.
So can you please tell our audience what was your greatest adversity in your life?
You know, it's funny because when you and I first started talking about creating this series, and you know, I thought it was a great idea. I started to think about myself and my own life, and what were the adversities that I've gone through, because I've gone through many. But I think the one that I finally kind of like I had a realization of what I wanted to speak about is basically like the life of an immigrant and leaving your homeland for something different, with, you know, let's say the American dream, and a lot of people that come to this country from so many different places in the world and try their best to create a new path for their families, create a new path for themselves, you included. And so many of our people from Berkeley, like, I mean, Berkeley College of Music in Boston is like 50 to 60% international. And I tell this to people all the time. Like, I have friends everywhere, everywhere in the world. There's somebody that went to school with me, and that you know, I always love Facebook because when it comes time for my birthday, I always start getting birthday messages like at 7 p.m. the day before from all my Asian friends in Japan, Malaysia, Korea, China, Vietnam. All those people start like, "Hey, happy birthday, happy birthday!" So it's a very specific and special place. And so I think the one adversity that I'd like to talk about today is the trauma that is growing up in a country that's not your own, and how hard it is to connect with people that don't, they look at you as almost like you're invading, like you're trying to steal their jobs and you're trying to like take over their country, when in reality all you're looking for is a shot to try and make your dream come true. And I'm sure between me and Juri, and there's so many people who are on this chat right now who are all immigrants, or the sons and daughters of immigrants who are here, you know, and are trying their best to either learn the language, learn how to be American, learn how to, uh, you know, kind of walk the walk and talk the talk of being in this country. And I mean, that's kind of an all over the world type of thing. If you're from the Middle East and you're in Europe, you're an immigrant. If you're, you know, coming from, you know, let's say China or Vietnam, and you're in Australia, you're an immigrant. Everywhere in the world, there's somebody leaving the place where they're from to try and go to somewhere else that has better opportunities. So it's it's um it's a story that happens throughout humanity and has happened forever. If we go from biblical stories to just real life history, and everywhere in between, there's somebody struggling to go to a different place that they hear has better opportunities for their families, and they do it bravely. They do it, you know, in service of others, and they do their best. So it's a story that happens all the time.
Yeah, so growing up, you kind of mentioned of this show that, you try to hide your accent or try to, kind of avoid the bullying. And what happened?
So, you know, when I first got to this country, first of all, just as a background, when I came to this country, I was 7 years old. So I was born in Dominican Republic, spent the first years of my life there. I well, a little bit more background is my parents at one point made the decision that we're going to come here, and basically they decided that my dad would go first to try and get here, get jobs, and get himself stable, because there's four kids, myself, my younger brother Vlad, who we're the ones who work together and do all the music productions, my older brother Pablo, who is in the army, in the U.S. Army, and then my the eldest of all of us, my sister Nadia, who lives in Boston. I don't know if they're here today, but hey everybody. And so so we lived with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, Doña Virin and Don Genaro, and they helped my mom take care of us, and so we lived with them for a couple of years while my dad was getting everything together. And after about 3 years, we came up to Boston, and then I grew up in Boston, and so, you know, I had already learned Spanish. I knew how to read and write Spanish, and so when I came here, all of a sudden I'm forced now to learn a new language and to try to learn this new country. And in the beginning, honestly, for us, you know, you hear about America all the time, and I'm sure you could understand this. All the best culture comes from here. All the best stuff comes from here. So you're you're kind of programmed as a kid in all these different countries that America is this amazing place. All the movies come from here, Hollywood, all everything comes from here. So for us, it was very exciting to be here and to be a part of this country, you know. And so in the beginning, it was like an adventure. You know, we were so excited to be here, and we touched our first snow. We'd only seen it in like movies, and so we're just little kids in a new country. And then you know, I went to school as a bilingual student for a couple of years, and then my parents made the decision to put me into full English, and that was a big struggle, big struggle. That first year, I was in fifth grade, and from that moment on, now you start to see that you're different because in the bilingual classes, you're surrounded by Latin people, so everybody speaks Spanish, you know, and you're learning English, and so you don't feel differently, you don't feel weird, but when you now make a cross into a full English classroom, now you're surrounded by Americans, and you're that kid with the weird accent. You know what I mean? And so for a long time, I had a very strong Spanish accent. And when I got to be in seventh grade, basically I started to be bullied for being, you know, that one kid, that one immigrant kid, and I literally hated going to school, and I could not. It was anxiety every single day, and it was only during coming home from school. So during the mornings, I had no problems getting to school, but between the time I got to school and the time I got home, these guys made my life very difficult, and it was just the worst time of my life. And so during that time, I did my best to try and just kind of like, you know, figure out what I need to do to have these people leave me alone, and to finally just be rid of them and everything. And so, you know, I think it created sort of a route for the rest of my teens where I kind of was like trying to run away from my Dominican roots and just try to be as American as I possibly could. And I needed to like learn how to speak English better. I need to look American, you know, act American, and just be from here. And I think I went really hard in that direction for a long time to try and fit in. And it all had to do with this bullying thing from seventh grade. And I think this happens a lot, you know. And I'm thankful that at least you know, I'm fair skinned, you know, I'm fairly white. But imagine if you had an accent and you were black. I mean, or if you were like what happens to Asians now, you know, and all this stuff is going on. You can they can see you from a mile away. I mean, for me, I'm fairly white from very far away, but I got this big nose here, so they know I'm not from here. They can tell I'm not from here, and so I think you know, it's a story that happens a lot to a lot of us, and I think that was one of the things that most, you know, made it hard for me to fit in and to figure out how to be myself in this foreign country.
Yes, it's very tough. I think when you are seventh grade and then came here and experienced that, it's a little bit different story that I was actually senior when I came to America, and then I have kind of established my life in Japan. And then I was doing like an exchange program just to purely learn English and not knowing any language. And then I had my share of not bullying, but self complex of not being able to speak the language, etc. But I can't imagine being seventh grade and then being bullied over your accent, try to hide your identity. And then we kind of talked about it. How did it affect you to try to disguise yourself for like say hiding accent or hiding your true identity at such a young age?
You know, when we were that young, when we were first come to the country, like we saw this as you know, adventure and all this stuff. Once that died down, now you're here, you're living. Um, you're always the other kid, you know, and it's tough because they're also trying to figure themselves out as well. You know, they don't know anything, and whatever they can do to look cool to whoever it is they're looking cool for. They'll do whatever they can to, even for them not to be, because sometimes the bullying is from a person who doesn't want to be bullied. So they'll bully first so they don't get bullied. You know what I mean? And what's funny is a lot of this came from people who are Latin. Like, they were already here, and I guess probably they were born here or whatever, so they don't have an accent. But you're the new kid on the block. You're the first off the boat. So most of my bullying came from Latinos, which is really sad. But black people were cool with me, white people were cool with me, and it was from my own people that I got most of my bullying, which is really really weird and kind of twisted. But it kind of makes sense in the sense that you police yourself, you police your own. You know what I mean? Like, like you wouldn't go ahead and try to bully a black kid because he's, that's a different group. But you bully the ones that because that's the ones that are from your group. You know what I mean? So I guess it kind of makes sense like that. And so, um, you know, you try to learn how to like wear the right fashions, how to listen to the right music. And so, for a long time, I ran away from my Latinness and tried to be American and tried to listen to the right music and try to learn the lyrics to this and just try to create the idea that I was from here. And I think that it was a mistake, and I'm glad that my parents kind of caught wind of it and took me back to DR, to the Dominican Republic, and have me have a chance to reconnect with my roots. And I got a chance to do that when I was about 17 or 18. And from that moment on, I've gone full circle the other way, 360, and just tried my best to reconnect with my language, which is Spanish, and my culture, and my Latinness, if you will. So it was good. It was a good journey because at the end of the day, you know, having gone as far as I went and only to come back even harder, like it made me more love my culture and Spanish and all this stuff. So it was tough. It was very, very tough. And like I said, I would come home crying. I would come home and they would take my books and throw them everywhere and do all kinds of just messed up things. And I remember the day that it finally stopped. And it wasn't because they learned or something like that. It's literally we moved and we bought our first house in another section of Boston. And so the bus changed. So I didn't take that same bus anymore. And just because I didn't take that bus, now they forgot about me, or they didn't want to mess with me, and my life went on from there on. It was like the biggest change. I just felt the biggest relief that I could just, I felt. But the thing is, only looking back on it now, the scars were there. You know what I mean? And that anxiety, and like you're trying to like fit in and stuff, that never went away. Even though the bullying stopped, all those traumas and all that stuff was still there. And to this day, it only took, later on, after I did my bachelor's at Berkeley, I did my master's in elementary education. And through the different courses that I took about child psychology and all this stuff, that I really start to to think about some of the things that we went through as being immigrant kids. One of which was we were missing grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, everything. It was just our little family and a couple of people scattered around. So you never, like, on the weekends, oh, let's go to Auntie whatever's house. And then all the cousins are there and the grandparents are there. And all you have all this like, you have a team of people that you can say, that's my family. You know what I mean? Like, we just didn't grow up that way. And we always were just ourselves. You know what I mean? And so, in some ways, it goes back to the idea that you create your family with the friends you pick. And I think that before long, I started to create a good friendship base, and a lot of those people became my base, and a lot of them are still my friends on Facebook, and we still, we laugh about each other's kids. I mean, their kids. I don't have any kids, but it's funny how, thank God that you start to figure out not only yourself, but the people that you most connect with, and the people that give you the most backing, and I really was very lucky to have found music when I did, and the band, and all the things that happened when I was there at Latin Academy, which is where I went to high school there in Boston Latin Academy. And if it hadn't been for band, I don't know where I'd be. I really don't. And music saved me. It really did.
Yeah, so that's the next question that I always ask from our guests after sharing adversity. First of all, I'm very sorry that happened to you. And then the effect of the childhood trauma and the bullying, and then trying to find identity when you are especially immigrant. I think this is a topic that a lot of people face in America or maybe in different parts of the world, vice versa. But um, what do you think maybe the tools you mentioned the music, but going through it in the middle of this bullying, in the middle of this identity crisis, what was the best tool that you remember that you used to overcome this adversity?
Um, I'll tell you, I've been trying to think about those moments a lot. Obviously they're very, very like they have a lot of emotion mixed into them, so I try not to think about them. But since I've become an adult and I've had a lot of time to think about a lot of these little episodes that you try to bury, you try not to think about. Um, I think my siblings was a big thing. My family. My parents are very hardworking people, and they're still very hardworking people. Even when they're in their 60s and 70s, they're still going. They're nuts. But I think I was very lucky to have a very stable home life. My parents are still married. They've been married almost 45 years this year. It'll be 45 years. So, no, 44 should be. And my brothers and sister, they've always been such a great team because like I said, we didn't have a bunch of cousins, we didn't have a bunch of aunts and uncles and everybody, so we really were very tight. My parents and my siblings and I, and so you know um, I would just try my best to just survive, honestly, and try not to think about it. And I'm thankful. I mean, I know some kids who get bullied for years. My bullying only took like it was like probably a very strong 8 months. You know what I mean? And then we moved, and it was night and day. I couldn't believe it because first of all, we were in our first house in America, which is a big deal. I didn't have my own room. Me and my brothers have always shared a room because my sister always gets her room because she was the only girl, and then the three boys are always packed in together. But it was our house, and it was the first time we hadn't rented anything because we literally had moved every year since we got to this country, and it took us at least 7 years and many moves to get to this one spot where we finally had a house. So it was a twofer because we were finally like settled somewhere where we could say this is our house, and then this bullying finally stopped. So I kind of created like a safe haven finally. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now I can finally go forward and try to create and become something. And at the time, this was the first year I had gone to Latin Academy, so it was a new school too. And the next year, my brother Pablo, my older brother, went into Latin Academy. So I also had my brother now at the same school as I. So everything changed after that moment. Everything started going in a different direction. And that's when I started music because my brother Pablo, he wanted to learn trumpet. And I had never touched a musical instrument in my life, And so he said, hey, let's go down there. Let's see what happens. I want to learn how to play trumpet. So I played trumpet for about 5 minutes, like not even. It was just the hardest thing I'd ever tried to do because you have to really blow into the trumpet. And I'm looking over and all the kids on clarinet go, they're going crazy with the clarinet. I'm like, I think I'm gonna do that instead because this is taking way too much. And so my brother tried trumpet and I did clarinet, and the rest is history. He actually ended up becoming a black belt in karate, which we both started at the same time as well. My brothers and I, we all started karate together, and then my brother and I started music together. And then I went to Berkeley, and he became a black belt. So we went like this, like in different directions completely. But I think you know what? Looking back on it, it was the extracurricular activities. It was the all that other stuff that really helped out because then the sensei and the band leader and the band teacher, all these great adults that were there to kind of create a new environment for you to feel safe and to feel nurtured and to feel like you were supported. And so I think all of these other people, because my parents were always working, and they didn't have enough time to be there and be watching for us and everything. Like, I swear to God, I think my parents went to school like 3 times for me, like in all the years that I did school here, because they were always working. They were just trying to make it. And Boston is a very expensive city, and my parents did it on one salary, my dad's salary, who he was a teacher, and so I mean, you want to talk about savings and like doing it on nothing, like hand me down sneakers and all that stuff, like poverty for real. And when we got here, I mean, I think is another thing I didn't really talk about. I mean, when we got here, we didn't even have like furniture or nothing. We had like the best we slept in. We had one table that we all ate at, and then a TV. And I think that's all we had for like a year and change. It's funny, my brother and I were talking about it. Like, I think it's yesterday or the day before, like, of that moment when we didn't have, like, we started, my mom felt bad, so we started like using like milk crates to kind of sit on and watch TV on and stuff. And I remember the moment we got our first like couch. It was a huge thing. And you think a couch, that's not a big deal. Like, it was a big deal to bring that thing home and have it in the house. It was like, oh my God, we can sit on this couch now. Like, we have a couch. This is amazing. It was like, it made everything so much better, because now you felt like you're finally here. You're about to become part of, like, you're a normal family. You have a couch and you have a TV, and like, so that was the other thing. Like, we were not rich, and it took a long time for my family to get to a point where, like I said, where we bought that house. That took 5 years, 6 years, and my father saved every penny. Like, and to this day, I turn off waters, I turn off lights, I can almost like hear my dad's voice somewhere. Hey! So I mean, 4 kids. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. And all of us went to college. All of us are professionals. All of us do great. And my parents, they're a heck of a team. And that's I think that's the thing. Good adults in good positions at the right points in my life have been so instrumental to the person I am today, and have taught me how to be a better man, how to be a good person. I did scouting, so I'm a Boy Scout, and I was able to get to my Eagle Scout, which is the highest rank as a Boy Scout, and different people, church leaders, different youth leaders and stuff like that. Like, a lot of different people have put just a little bit of something into me, and all of those things put together make me the person that I am today. You know what I mean?
Well, great. Thank you so much. There's I think your friend Sandy, the masquer. You truly are a gift to everyone you meet.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know how who are. I guess I'll look at the video later and see who was chatting throughout and stuff.
So, speaking of a gift, the last portion of this show is a gift that came from adversity. So, would you share with the audience going through these adversities? What is the gift that came from it?
Well, I think one of the things that trying to be an American taught me was, I love America. I love this country. I love what it stands for. And having been a Boy Scout and all this stuff, like, they teach you about the flag. They teach you about, all the things that have to do with this country. I'm a lover of history. And so I think going on this American journey, for me, the gift was this country and its great culture and its great people. Because I think we get a bad rap as Americans for how close-minded some of us are, how, like, there's a lot of people who give America a bad name. But there are so many great people here. There are so many cool and amazing people who love diversity, who love eating weird food from some country that you've never heard of. There's people who love that, and they love the melting pot of America. And I think, as much as sometimes you look and you roll your eyes like, oh my God, what? And there are still so many good people here that love all the people who come from all different places, who are here to support and help and create a better America for all the people who are visiting. So my gift from adversity was, that I ended up being, a very, very, like, I actually became an American citizen, probably around 2007, 2008. So I was able to vote in my first election in 2008. And you know, my gift was being able to stay here and make a new life and become an American citizen. And all my family too, we're all citizens, and we really love this country. And at the end of the day, it even though we had to earn our citizenship and most just take it for granted, it, a lot of people are trying to become a citizen of this country. And if only we as Americans understood how privileged we are to be a part of this country. It's a big deal for a lot of people, and a lot of people have an American dream that they still are fighting for every day and are trying to get in this country. And it's only gotten harder since I've been here, and since 9/11 and everything is tightened up even more and more and more, and it's really hard to get here. And so whenever you see anybody who just got their green card or just got their visa, and my Facebook is littered with people, because like we said, Berkeley College of Music, everybody's from somewhere. There are very few like Americans and who are in Berkeley. So my Facebook is littered with people who are like, I just got my visa. Like, I just got my green card. Like, they're just so happy that they're not going to have to leave, that they love being here, and being with their friends and being with their new families and all this stuff. And I think it taught me a lot about how humanity, we all need to support each other better and be kind to each other. And your friend with the funny accent and with the funny name, like, he needs help. He needs support, and it's tough here. It's very, very tough to make it here. And so once you get your first Thanksgiving, and whatever it is, that's one thing I love about America. Thanksgiving is the most, like, the funniest holiday, because it's literally the symbol of America, because you have the turkey, and that's the American thing, but then you always add whatever it is that you come with. So for us, there's like rice with beans in it, and like there's all this stuff that's the Dominican parts of Thanksgiving, but then you always got the turkey, and you got the stuffing, and you got the stuff that's like very American. Like, I'm sure for you guys, for you and Jaden, and you guys put in, like, sushi, and you guys put in, like, what I mean, like, soup and, like, noodles and all that stuff. So everybody adds something. So to me, I see Thanksgiving as one of those, like, American traditions that is about adding your part to America.
Well, Shunji Saegusa
Oh,
said,
it's
great
sushi.
family you have. He's Japanese, right?
Yes.
こんばんは、三枝さん. So, Carlos, we're about to close the show. Now, how can people find your music, social media, website? How can people reach out to you and then find your exciting music stuff?
Okay, cool. The artist name that we're working with right now is Big Man L Say Cinco. Big Man L 65 EL 65. So you put it all together. Big Man, because he's tall. He's 6'5". And Big Man EL 65 is the artist. And we've been working on his music for a very, very long time, and working on not only, like, because the thing is, everybody, I want to blow up. I want to blow up. The thing is, right now, the music, the industry is very saturated. There's way too much music, and so nobody knows what to listen to. You ever had this problem? You go into Spotify, and you have millions of music that you can listen to, like millions of songs, and you just don't know what to listen to. You know what I mean? So you have to do something to stand out from everybody else. So what we've been working with Big Man is trying to figure out how to work on all the other things that have to do with an artist, the visual, like, we're thinking about doing, like, acting and doing all kinds of different things. And so you have to build a persona. You can't just do the music or do the videos. It has to do with, nowadays, what we call social media. You have to do videos, you have to do inspirational posts, you have to do all the other things that create community. And so if you're ever going to create a brand, you have to think about everything that's not the music, because we all want to do the music, but we don't understand that if we don't support that music through all these other things, the music gets nowhere. And the people, because they have to consume all the different parts of you, because there's so much stuff to do, and there's so little time, and their attention span is so short, that if you don't have enough stuff for them to pick at, then they're gone, and you've lost that one chance for that one person. So Big Man L Say Cinco, Big Man EL 65. And then me and my brother are By the Bros, BYTHEBROS, BYTHEBROS. And that's on anything, on any social media. You can find us. There's a lot of videos that we've done on YouTube. Um, for many different artists and a lot of different things that we've done. So there's a lot of things brewing. There's a lot of cool stuff on the way. We've basically are holding back a lot of the things that we're doing just to kind of get all this new chapter of the things that we're about to drop, get it going. So we're very excited for all the things that we're gonna do with Big Man. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Carlos. So before you leave, I want you to say something in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
So then people who are listening to you who understand Spanish maybe can get some inspiration. So around a gift from adversity, and then your message to people who may be listening and then maybe struggling about their identity being immigrant. So if you can say something just empowering in Spanish, that would be great.
Okay.
Vámonos.
Okay. Para mi gente que están en sintonía, yo soy Carlos Colón y quiero dedicarles este momento para ustedes, los inmigrantes que se levantan todos los días a trabajar y a batallar. No es fácil, yo sé que no es fácil. Y cada día hay que siempre mantenerse fiel a sus sueños y nunca se den por vencido. I'm getting a little like teary-eyed thinking about all this stuff. So, sigan peleando y ustedes pueden. You can do it. There's still a lot of emotion in that, you know what I mean? It's a lot. So I'm very, very proud of so many people who are here fighting every day. And you know, for the most part, a lot of them are just getting spat on and hated on, but they're the ones that keep this country going. They're the ones that clean your bedroom. I mean, your hotel rooms. They're the ones that cut your lawn. They're the ones that, you know, do a lot of the work, the construction and all the stuff that nobody wants to do. And they pick your fruit. They pick your vegetables. They do a bunch of things that most people won't show up for. So if all the immigrants in this country said we're not coming to work today, like the country would collapse. You know, because the majority of people who have a job, who have like a small business, are immigrant entrepreneurs. I mean, Juri, you're an amazing symbol for something like that. I am too. My brother and I and Big Man, and we're all people who get up every day with a big dream. And with our broken Spanish and our funny accent, we go at it every day. You know, we swing an axe and we try to cut a tree every time. You know what I mean? So this episode is dedicated to all of you, and especially you, Judy.
Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And then thank you for sharing your story today. So I will talk to you soon. And then thank you for our audience for tuning in today. And then I hope that you get some inspiration from Carl's story and then we can keep it going. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys.